for supporting this initiative, because without them, we wouldn't have this webinar series. So I want to thank them, for supporting us, not only in terms of turning up for the events, but also financially as well, so that we can actually produce this webinar series, okay, to really connect entrepreneurs together. Okay, so without further ado, okay, I would like to also invite, okay, the moderator for today, okay, and a good friend of mine, okay. His name is Tay Kok Chin, Mr. Tay Kok Chin. He's the chairman of Smart City Networks and the ASEAN leader for the Smart City Council. Okay, so thank you very much. Just enjoy the roundtable. Kok Chin, over to you.
Maybank.
Yes.
You're supposed to give Maybank some airtime. Hey, Alina, she's very.
Oh. Oh, okay. I thought sorry.
It's okay. Otherwise, you already said then I'm okay for the thing to start.
No, I think we give you some a little bit of airtime. 1 minute.
Would you like to say a few words?
Okay. So basically, Maybank has, together with Brands for Goods, been doing this one for the past 3 years. This is our 3rd year together. And definitely our so-called our missions is the humanizing financial services, which is very in line with what Brands for Goods is actually going for. Okay, so we are definitely here to support the businesses, and we provide, like what Vincent has mentioned, we provide not just the financial, we also want to give support in whatever ways that the SMEs in Singapore are requiring. All right. So today I will not go into any slides. I think many of you have seen me and also have seen many of the presentations. It's just that after today, the turntables and after the presentations today, if you do see any opportunities, we are definitely here to support in terms of monetaries or in terms of whatever business ventures that you're looking at. So with that, right, you can actually contact myself. I'm inside the group chat, okay, and inside the WhatsApp chat, okay, and I have a team of 35 bankers that will be able to provide the financing needs for all the SMEs targets over here. All right, so give me a buzz or email me. Brands for Good has all my contact, okay, and yeah, that's it for myself, or Maybank, and maybe to 01.
Okay, so with Elena, thank you very much. Sorry for missing you.
It's okay.
could you put your contact information in a group chat, okay, so that anyone who are looking for financial services will be able to get in touch with you and your team. And same with 01 as well. If you want to put your contact information, as our sponsors, we really appreciate what you're doing to bring
inside the WhatsApp, right?
Yes, inside the, you can put it in the group chat and later in the WhatsApp as well. Okay, so for people that, for entrepreneurs that need to tap into these services, please do feel free to contact Elena and, guys from 01. So, okay, I'm going to invite Kok Chin again. Hi, Kok Chin. Okay, Kok Chin, okay, is he's the chairman for Smart City Networks and the ASEAN leader for Smart City Council. So, Kok Chin, over to you.
Thank you so much, Vincent. It's good to be connected here in doing something that I think both of us share kind of a similar goals to build a more inclusive society. So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Tay Kok Chin. And in today's session, I will moderate 3 speakers in which we are talking about opportunities for responsible businesses of tomorrow. It essentially means what we want to do is to brainstorm a little bit and get a few questions running and then explore as to what is it that we need to do together as a group and as an ecosystem to be better, to be emerging stronger, and hopefully build a more inclusive and sustainable smart cities. So for many of you who have actually, registered for this event would have seen this particular synopsis. I won't read them all, but I want to highlight what we hope to achieve at the end of today. We hope to hear different opportunities for business communities to act responsibly. So what does it really mean to be acting responsibly, and what can they do to leverage the stimulus packages? And last but not least, what can innovations and technologies do to assist them to act responsibly? So let me start this particular session by setting the context of the meaning of responsible business. In here, you can see that, you know, in one definition, there's no consensus of what does it really mean, the responsible business practices. Here, sometimes people refer to the practice of conducting business with consideration for ethical, environmental, community, and sometimes governance. And to be a good employer, to be one that hopefully will make better business, making a profit, in other words. So in most cases, the manifestation of being responsible is manifested in this form, right? Often, more often than not, it is termed as corporate social responsibility, or sometimes it's called corporate citizenship. And sometimes people use it interchangeably, but the CSR is basically a concept in which corporate citizenship is just one part of it. And there are many flavors of corporate citizenship. So on the right, you can see there are large organizations and even small ones, including not the big organization, not only the big organization like IBM, HP, even DBS a few years ago established a fund, DBS Foundation, Alibaba, and so on and so forth. And we also have the Community Foundation of Singapore, which is an aggregation of people who wants to contribute back to society. For those other organizations who may be smaller, right, they may join groups to be volunteers and to participate in activities under NVPC, is the National Volunteer and Philanthropy Center, or they can get involved in non-profit groups, the National Council for Social Services, or a regional group, the Asian Venture Philanthropy Network, AVPN, and sometimes they go directly to academic institutions and in schools and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it is about doing something. And sometimes you talk about volunteer activities that is run by certain non-profit group, and people get involved to do a few things as volunteers. And sometimes they do run ad hoc projects, and sometimes they do run programs. Back in 2011, I was part of the IBM International Foundation, and we did this project. It is, and not many people realize it, it was actually a corporate citizenship project funded by the IBM International Foundation, $50 million across the world, 100 cities. And Singapore in 2011, we applied for it. And in 2012, I was the project manager for that project. And it was actually a corporate citizenship project. Each city gets $500,000. We get 4 experts from IBM Research and Global Services. And what we did over 3 months, 1 month on site in August 2012, we actually met with over 20 government agencies. So that was part of the IBM corporate citizenship, looking at Jurong Lake District as a site to recommend to the Singapore government. So with that as a context, right now I would like to invite Thomas to actually share his screen and give us some kind of an introduction to the group that he is now leading. Thomas, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Casey. I would start off by sharing my screen, my slides, and bear with me. I hope you'll also bear with me some of the background noises, because I'm not in the seclusion of my home. I'm somewhere in between, and so I'm in a public area. Otherwise, I've been very late or I'm very early. My discussion will be basically about profitable businesses and sustainability. But before I start, let me just give you a little introduction to my organization. We were formed about 10 years ago. We are an ASEAN entity, that means within ASEAN, we're part of ASEAN. We also, the ASEAN has got a responsible business advisory council. And in the business advisory council, I am the champion for responsible inclusive business. So this whole framework, we cover Southeast Asia, which is 10 countries, but very different political, different geography, different GDP, very different. But in the midst of all those things, these 10 countries has worked together. We've got huge jumps in our GDP, doubled over the last 10 years, but they also have huge social, environmental, and governance. In corruption, we are very great. I mean, our next door neighbor, Najib Prime Minister, just been found guilty of corruption charges. That's called grand corruption, but we also got grand corruption involving shoppers. Except Singapore ends up well, Brunei ends up, rest of Asia. We also have problems with the environment. We're supposed to get the haze any time now. We also have huge problems with migrant labor, trafficking, slave labor, etc. But this is not just ASEAN. This is a worldwide problem where we have terrorism, the failures in society. And with these failures in society is to be addressed. And part of these failures in society is also very much the way we do business, where we have the huge income gaps, we have people who are left out of the way we do. So capitalism itself is question is, can we have a moral capitalism? A capitalism which has got a soul. So CSR in that sense is no longer about how you spend your money, but how do you make that money? And how do you make that money is more than philanthropy and charity, it's more than what you do after you make the money. And the limitations of Sister I said, trying to get business to look at the environment, look at people issues while you're making profit. You need to make profits. If you don't make profits, but how do you make? So I think in the chart, I'm trying to show the limits to which profits growth can take place. Society or environment. If everybody in China decides to eat fish, the South China Sea ocean may not have enough fish. So there must be ways to recycle. So that would be the essence of what I'm trying to say and the responsible business that we are promoting. So when we talk about responsible business in ASEAN, we are basically talking about, that is a long-term strategy. That it's a question of how businesses make profit, not what they do after they make profit. So it is basically that part. So in order to do that, your responsibility must be aligned with values of honesty, integrity, transparency, accountability, etc. And you will also have to be planning, not too defensive communication, but strategic planning, so you are ahead of the curve, know exactly what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve. And then it's a question of the relationship, building the culture and identity to achieve those goals. So this is what we mean by responsible business as a whole. So this trend, this is a whole lot. I'm not going through this. I want to say that there is a huge global trend that is pushing for responsible business. There is an interest that businesses need to not just make money, but address problems. There is the power of corporations must be powerful. There's a sustainable development goals, and the climate change targets, trade agreements has now a process of labor, process of environment, process of economy. So hugely, there's a push on legislation on human rights, binding treaties, and also that even the big companies in the US have come out approaching the purpose of business. So I just made the whole list of legal and changes that just around this place, our place, on due diligence, on human rights, is becoming becoming a big issue. And this slide is to say that 181 big companies, the biggest companies, CEOs, last year came up with a statement that there must be what should be the purpose of the corporation. And this is the corporation is to share fundamental commitment to all stakeholders, not just shareholders. Because previously they said the purpose of business is to promote shareholder value. So today they talk about customers, they talk about employees, they talk about suppliers, they talk about communities, shareholders. So there's each of the stakeholders is essential. So we commit to deliver value to all of them. So the success the companies, also the success of the community in the country. So everybody must be part of it. We can't have somebody coming rich by making other people poorer. As a society, we must all be rich together. It's also part of the GE 2020 GE. Some of these issues were also discussed and very clearly. So I also say that while these big companies agree on it, there's a lot of pressure for SMEs to work, because SMEs are the ones who actually implement these things and work on those things. So the SMEs and in ASEAN is it. So I think what we are trying to do is this. So what is responsible business when you do all these elements that I listed? It actually helps to improve productive brand. So we are trying to get all this involved through ASEAN through this thing called AREBA, which is the ASEAN Responsible Inclusive. We'll be using this new logo from next week and hold on. But I also want to say that this is a type of language that we will have the 6 objectives to realize the vision, and we also want to enable responsible business so that we can have sustainable, equitable, and inclusive development. We're going to have a culture of good governance, share information, good practices, support business, and connect. So this is helping companies as a whole and also link them up with other companies and the people. So I will skip the slides because I've mentioned some of it. But so how do we do that? We try to get companies to say that we do things, we must have some values, principles of accountability, transparency, ethical behavior, respect for shareholder interests, respect for the rule of law, respect for norms, respect to treat people with respect, dignity. We also talk about subject. We will get wrong. Like responsible inclusive business includes governance, includes environment, includes labor standards, includes anti-corruption, human rights, consumer rights, and community. It's a whole variety of things. We don't have to do everything. We have to look at everything, but we have to focus on what is most important for you. And I think that's what we're trying to do. And I will end by saying that Friday, this Friday, 30th of July, ASEAN, this declaration is going to become public. The decisions in ASEAN, this is an advisory council, and actually put in, has made some recommendations to ASEAN leaders to highlight what should be part of the COVID. How do we respond to COVID? How do we respond for it? And in these points, they talk mainly on trade, things, etc. But you find that they also talk about responsible business. And one of the things recommendation is to help build the ASEAN responsible and inclusive business and alliance for engagement to promote this, and also to work with us on responsible business. So I think the AREBA will be more important, because it's not just growth, it's not just building back, we want to build back better. And we only build back better if investors and everybody have values, principles to do those things. So on this note, I will just conclude by saying that the AREBA we're trying to do is an organization that will evolve, because we learn by doing, but we all want it to be a part of a positive change, to do well, do good, do together, do more, to scale up. So responsible business is better business, because thanks to all these free trade agreements and other things, you get a better access to market. Responsible business is also good reputation, good brand, which actually means more profits and will build trust. And on that note, I have got my things and say thank you very much. I will pass it. I took a bit of time, but I will pass it back to Tay. Thank you, Tay.
Thanks, Thomas. We apologize for the sound. The audio seems to be breaking off and on.
Sorry about that. I think it's just the audience where I'm the open air.
Yeah, no problem. Maybe
I think it's maybe the Bluetooth headset. Maybe you can try to do without, because you tested without it. Yeah, should be okay. Yeah.
So maybe during the Q&A, Thomas, you may remove your Bluetooth and see whether your headset and see whether that will work better. But nevertheless, thank you so much for sharing that introduction. I have actually known Thomas for many years, when at one point he was leading Global Compact Singapore chapter, and I was the head for the Corporate Giving Council under the National Volunteer and Philanthropy Center. And I think he has moved on to the regional role, really looking forward to how we could actually work together. And I want to follow up to my last slide before I pass it to Thomas, because the message that we had sent, and through the recommendation report that we did for the Singapore government, and I'm quite sure the Singapore government, which was led by EDB and URA, had also sought the advice of other corporates and other innovators. In 2014, 6 years ago, our nation embarked on Smart Nation, and it was announced by PM Lee. And this was the screenshot of that National Day rally. And I'm quite sure most of you wouldn't remember that he showed this particular screen, but I did, because it was a IBM case study, right? Rio de Janeiro in Brazil actually had their command control center. So my message is that, you know, whatever that was conveyed and message, what matters is what happens after that. So with that as a context, we are faced with today, COVID-19, a giant wake-up call, and the fact that we are having this roundtable using Zoom is really the result of this, right? We have not had really that much of a online events like what we have done in the last few months. So this was a particular slide that was shared in a conference last Friday. 5 main lessons in which I would like to subsequently later introduce you to the next speaker. The first lesson from COVID-19 is that no man or no nation is an island. And small and innocuous tail risks can have an outsized impact. And look at the impact that the coronavirus has done. And when forced to a corner, we find new ways of doing things, of working and living. Consuming less will never kill anyone. And COVID has been touted as the greatest crisis that we have had for many decades. So what does it mean? Right here we have, you know, this particular slide that mentions that on the left side here, it says the business owners and managers are the key agents for sustainable change. There are a few areas that are listed here: responsible consumption, urbanization, energy, digitalization, and reform. But I would want you to focus on the digitalization. What does it mean by going digital? The digital economy in which it goes across boundaries. And with that, I have set the context for Esther to share what she has prepared for all of us. So Esther, please continue to share your screen.
Thank you, Kok Chin. Okay, I'll share my screen now. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us today, and hopefully, you know, this roundtable will be sort of an inspiration to spark some thinking among business owners and see how we can all be responsible business and act responsibly according to this time. So before I go into my presentation, just to give you a brief introduction of myself, for those of you who have not known me or not seen me around, I wear a few hats. So by day, I'm a lawyer, so I practice in intellectual property. So all aspects of intellectual property and IP commercial advisors in terms of the legal and law side. That's what I do. And of course, despite being in the service industry, I think, being part of Brands for Good, we always emphasize that there is always some ways you can try to find within your services, even banks, right? That's why they're partnering with us on this journey to see how we can contribute back to society and actually be part of the community. So the other hat I'm wearing today also is I am the president of IIPCC, which stands for the International IP Commercialization Council. So we are the Singapore chapter and part of a larger organization headquartered in Hong Kong. And so we sort of brand ourselves as a think tank to see how we can, you know, in a sense, come together as an international community, and something like what Ariba is doing in terms of coming, you know, under a code of conduct. Some of our mission is to educate the public in terms of the importance of IP and not see IP as just an asset, and you pay so much, you know, how most likely how do you monetize it, right? And commercialize it in so that there is a return of investment that you can have. So in short, that's IIPCC, and of course, as part of, you know, educating, as part of commercializing, we also then recognize that being part of Brands for Good is something that's very in line with what we look at, and therefore we adopt Brands for Good as part of our major project that we run yearly. And that's how we, together with Alan from IPOS Society, we came together and together planned to say, look, let's do Brands for Good together. Because brands, as you all know, are part of IP. They are one of the, you know, trademarks, one of your IP assets, and also we also recognize innovations and inventions and technology, and to see how businesses can put a good angle to that. And so with that, that's my involvement with Brands for Good through IIPCC and what I do as a day-to-day job. So we're talking a lot about, especially this year when we have partnered with ASEAN CSR, and we're very glad to do that with them because they're also very in line with our mission. And I think Thomas and Kok Chin has also expounded on responsible business. And as you know, there's kind of like no sort of definition for it. And I thought to myself, what does responsible means? Responsible means, you know, bearing responsibility in terms of what, right? So I'm borrowing this from the Ariba Code of Conduct, and I think sometimes what helps, right? You know, organizations like Ariba will come and put in context for us, because sometimes we don't know where to start, and that's why I think, you know, having a code of conduct helps businesses, and it's the same for every area of practice, right? Their guidance notes, their code of conduct. They are not laws, but basically guidelines that we can adopt. And so in terms of being responsible, in the broad sense, it's actually governance at all levels. And Kok Chin has also mentioned this in terms of being responsible to your employees, being inclusive, you know, in your hiring and the benefits given. Secondly, you know, in terms of environmental, social, and governance sustainability of your business model. And thirdly is your business integrity. And obviously, then the next question is, okay, we are responsible, we're having all this governance, but to whom are we responsible for? And obviously, it's your stakeholders, your suppliers, and last but not least, your community, because whatever that you do does not only impact you per se, it will definitely have an impact in terms of the community around you as well. As Scotty mentioned, no man is an island. So in terms of the stimulus packages, and I won't go into detail because I trust that if you are a business owner, you would have followed very, very closely on the support that has been rolled out by our Singapore government. And it does seem to me that the Singapore government has given a lot of support in terms of business owners. If you go back on this slide in terms of governance at all levels to help businesses be responsible to their employees, right? Especially in this time that is tough. So, we have the unity budget, the resilience budget, the solidarity budget, and then I think they also extend later on to cover foreign workers levies. Then we see that Singapore has tried their best to be inclusive in that sense, whereby when COVID-19 hit, especially the migrant workers, because there were no support given for foreign workers, right? Not just migrant workers, but on like e-pass and work permits, and sometimes a lot of these companies they hire a lot of non-local workers, and they are also facing huge problems in that sense. I don't think the government is able to help 100%, but at least they are trying their best to cover some expenses for the businesses to be able to tide through this period, difficult period of time. And I think the last one that the recent Fortitude budget that was announced, they are also looking at job creation, upskilling workers, and transforming enterprises to strengthen resilience for community, which nicely brings into my next point, right? In terms of what the roundtable is about, like all these stimulus packages are available. What are the opportunities that we can leverage on with the help and support that the government has given? So in terms of opportunities, I'm just going to touch on basically 2 points. One is from a perspective of a company. And if you are a company that, you know, how do I say, there are a lot of businesses in Singapore that has been in existence for a very long time, especially SME businesses who have been passed down from generations after generations. And as you all know, you know, the old has gone, the new is now, right? But somehow with all the technology, innovations and everything, the development that is going on, there are still companies that are still very much not changed in the way that they are doing things. Especially, you know, it depends on industries as well. For example, like law firms, accountants, we're all very dinosaur, right? We have stick to very old ways of working. And sometimes even internally, you will have challenges of trying to upskill, upgrade, and make sure that your workers are able to adopt technology. And even so, if you're from the older generation, sometimes they find it a little bit harder to embrace technology solutions. And I think in a sense, for what I'm trying to emphasize is companies for now, since the government has already given support in terms of, you know, workers, and there are so many of these packages available and support from the government, the worker wages side, you know, in terms of day-to-day business, that is covered. But what can you then leverage to see what can you do further for your company to upgrade, for example, internal processes that you have? If things are still done very much on paper, have your company think of going paperless. You know, I think recently in terms of what I'm trying to do with even, you know, where I'm coming from, you know, lawyers, sometimes we are very sticky. We say we need everything black and white. But what are the efforts that we can try to see if we can move from, you know, keeping files the old way to sort of move everything from then to paperless. And of course, you know, cybersecurity and all this kind of stuff then will be an issue that we need to look into, right? Security and all that. So that takes a lot of effort, and it's not something that you probably can do overnight. And it also takes investment and the right people to come along to help you see how you can transform your internal processes and try to take it as much as you can online. Of course, some really cannot, right? But what we can do is try to see what are the processes that we can simplify to use technology as a solution so that we can be more efficient in whatever that we're doing. And it's all the more evident right now since everybody is working from home. You know, companies had no choice. They are thrust into that space now to actually have to find solutions to see how we can actually work from home. So if, you know, you already were ahead in the game, you wouldn't have scrambled so much during the COVID lockdown to try and make sure everything is you know, to get done and to get ready for a time where work from home can be done seamlessly, and that your services to your customers will not be affected in that sense. And yeah, and also to sort of look at revamping your business model and marketing methods. You know, for example, like if let's say you are a brick and mortar business, you will notice that everybody has no choice now but to also look at online solutions. If you don't, you may probably find yourself really struggling and not just left behind, but really struggling for survival even. You know, like I even have, you know, my father-in-law is doing a brick and mortar business of mini market, and of course if they're affected by no tourists coming and no people going, if he doesn't do anything about revamping the business model, money will run out. And that's just the hard reality of what it is, right? So in terms of that, for companies to go digital and in line with using technology and innovation as a solution, now is the time. If you have not caught on, you have to, because if not, you will be left behind, or else, fighting for survival and then eventually just fizzle out lah, in that sense. And of course, if you're on the other hand, you're a company that is providing digital solutions, I think now is the opportunity for you to offer creative digital applications. Perhaps there may be one or more ways, right, to use a particular digital application, and time to also innovate further and not be reactive, but rather be proactive to look out for those industries and new applications that your solution may be able to reach to. And I think, some Zoom is a like an example, right? That of course we already have Skype, we already have all these other things that are already there. But what made Zoom boomed during this COVID-19 time was, I think, the fact that it was very easy for people to jump on, and the applications and the functions that they were offering was one step further from whatever that we have already known. Like Microsoft Teams and whatnot that came. So it's just looking for ways and as a digital company to offer solutions, and that's what I wanted to share, the 2 points. And I can leave this for discussion. I believe you as business owners would probably have your point of view as well, and your challenges that you face. We would love to have that left during the Q&A session and discussion, so that we can share one another. So conclusion to my presentation is, are we looking for survival or are we looking for sustainability? And I think sustainability is definitely the answer, because if you are sustainable, you will be able to survive. If you're just looking for survival per se, what can you do for tomorrow, then you're being very short-sighted in that sense. And as I already mentioned, since the stimulus packages that are offered by Singapore government, and I think Thomas can also perhaps shed some light, because not all countries actually have the capability and the support that is given by the Singapore government as what that has Singapore government has rolled out. Obviously, there will be other ways that's why did they not help us enough? This whatever packages that they gave to us is just purely barely survival, and of course there are all these other conditions that you need to meet. But if you're comparing it with, for example, other countries around the region, we are quite fortunate in that sense that our government does provide some level of support, and I don't think we can expect the government to fully help, because the responsibility is still on the business owner to look at how they want to move forward with their business, to create a business model that is sustainable. And because of that, right, since the stimulus packages already can cover at least some of your expenses day to day, you may want to take this time to see how you can think a little bit further for the future, in terms of using technology and inventions and things like that to upgrade your business. So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you. It's extremely pertinent to the audience here. Maybe I should share a little bit about sustainability and what the Singapore government back in 2017, when they published the Committee of the Future Economy, what are the 7 recommendations that the committee that was chaired by DPM Heng shared, right? I mean, I'm not sure whether many of you remembered, but I have a easy kind of a word to remember that. I won't go through all of them. I will just share the 2 main recommendations by the committee. The first recommendation is about digitization. So go digital, in other words, right? And going digital essentially is about making use of technology, ICT, and how would you then digitize all the paperwork you have done and go global and go digital to go global. So the second recommendation is going global. How would you look at ASEAN, look at the world, right, as your market rather than just Singapore? So I think what Esther shared, and I will share a bit more later after the next presenter. Before I share more later with regards to the going global or at least going regional, Thomas has shared about the shareholder value. So let me now put in the for business of tomorrow, right? There is a emerging concept that is quite recent in the last year or two. They call it the economics of mutuality. And Michael Porter talked about that in 2012 when he talked about creating shared value. But this is another perspective, which was actually written in detail by Dr. J. Jacob from Mars. He co-authored a particular book called Completing Capitalism, Heal Business to Heal the World. And the principles of economics of mutuality is about finding profitable solutions to problems of people and planet. So what does it mean? Firstly, it redefines the meaning of what is the purpose of business. Is the purpose of business, and I know due respect to Thomas share about shareholder values, is centered around the company. So, the old time capitalism and what we have known so far has always been about shareholder value. Everything about the company is to make a profit, and the shareholders would be the employees, the customers, the end customers, shareholders, and so on and so forth. But the new concept of the economics of mutuality is about the purpose of business is to produce profitable solutions to the problems of people and the planet. So it is twisting around the concept about what would a business really do when it is begin to search for its purpose. So it should center around the purpose. And that purpose will then is to find solutions for people, which are namely the shareholders that are listed here, and the planet, the environment. So the purpose is the core, right? And if there are companies that begins to center around the purpose of their business in existence, then I think we are looking at the future business of tomorrow, because COVID-19 was really a wake-up call for a lot of business. You got to look at the environment, and you got to look at people, and how can you be responsible for both people and the environment. So with that, I would want to invite Stuart Tan, the CEO for 01, to share his screen and share what he does. And he told us earlier that he's been doing this for the last 2 decades. So Stuart, please continue, proceed to share your screen.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. Yeah, let me do that. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Casey. So I think I have, sorry. I think restart, give me a minute. Okay, so back again. So I'm Stuart, I'm from 01. So today I will share 2 stories. So one story is how I started 01 3 years ago. And the other story is how I met up with Esther, Alan, and Glenn. That I'm glad that after meeting them, so I learned something new. I think after 2 years together with them, there's a couple of things that we learned as a team as well. So let me start with 01. Okay, how 01 started. So if you recall back in 2016, and sometime towards the end, the government, IMDF announced that they actually issued the 4th telco license to a player in Australia by the name of TPG. So the telco market actually opened up. And during then, I actually have another startup by the name of 1969. I was actually building a hardware business with some app that allow people to go overseas, that they can call, they can receive SMS, and basically there's no roaming charges per se. So I was raising some money, met a group of people, individual, and they like what I'm doing. But they throw a challenge to me and say, hey, Stuart, hardware is hard business. Why not you change the hardware and remove that and build that through a mobile operator platform? Then there will be some millions on the table that you can take and go and start to build this business from scratch. So I thought that was a good deal. So what I did was two things happened. So a group of people that buying the plan that I have, and the market has actually opened up for new players like MBO, like us, to come in. So put together a deck, went to see the three operator. Basically, I need the three operator, one of them to say yes to me so that I can use their wireless mobile network. So eventually, took me about 3 months. So sometime in 2017, I got February, I got a so-called mandate from Singtel. Say, yeah, let's do the deal. So we'll give you the partnership. Let's start the engagement. I'm so happy. So in corporate 01, sometime early 17, went back to the group. Guess what? They couldn't raise the money for me. So, but never look back. I continue. So to today. So what kept 01 going? If you look at the market today, before we came in 2 years ago, everyone needs certain data. I think everyone needs some unlimited data, but the market is not giving that. When we came in, we thought that, hey, why not we do an unlimited data plan at a rate that is affordable for everyone? So we will launch sometime in 2018 after 1 year of planning. We went out and say, yeah, unlimited data at $19.90. Good deal. I think we got a lot of attention. We got, within a day, I got about, if I recall correctly, we got about 20,000 just within a single day. So basically, it's really a good deal that people are actually paying $19.90 for unlimited data. So, boom, I think we got a good start. Then, I was fortunate. I mean, I started a company, one person. Right now we have 30. It actually took us about 2 years in the point that today we are a bit more stable in our ops pipe. I think we have did something for the market in Singapore and for 01 as well. I think today anyone should have a decent unlimited data, or at least some maybe 20 gig or 30 gig of data per month at an affordable rate. Yeah, so I think we are not done yet. I think we will continue this journey. And in fact, we actually move into Vietnam as well. We actually have a partnership there. We hope eventually we want to build within the ASEAN region, the 10 countries, so that everyone should have unlimited data in a way that is affordable. So we started in Singapore. Eventually, I think maybe in 3 to 5 years' time, we hope to achieve that within the ASEAN region. Everyone should have one single price plan that you can travel freely within the 10 countries. Yeah, so that's how I started 01 3 years ago. Next, I want to talk about how I started a partnership with Brands for Good. The next story, in fact. Actually, I met Esther, Glenn, and Alan sometime in end of 2018, if I recall correctly. It was the ASEAN Summit. It was hosted by Singapore. So a lot of politicians was in Singapore together with the business delegate. So one particular incident, event I was invited was a Cambodia event. Kim Meng, which is a chairman for the Loyal Group, I was invited. So I attended the event. I met these three persons, Glenn, Alan, and Esther. So get to know about Brands for Good. I thought it was a good purpose and something that I had never engaged or started before. I said, yeah, why not? Let's do something together. But I don't know what to do. So they thought, I don't know whether I should say that. They say, why not you come in as a sponsor? I say, yeah, great. Maybe we should start something first. So we came in. So I told Alan and Glenn, and I said, yeah, maybe the second tier, but not the first tier, because we are startup. We have limited resources. So, but I'm willing to come in to learn as well. So that's how we started in 2019 as one of the sponsors for Brand for Good. Yeah. So if you look at 01 today, we are a tech startup. I think this is my can't remember, it could be my 10 or 9 startup for the past 20 years. So technology is something that I'm comfortable. Whether it's CSR, socially responsible, something is new for me actually. So last 2 years when I enter, I get to know this group of people, I start to learn. So started as sponsorship, and sometime in 2019, we actually went to another program, a program that actually we put together a plan. It's about 100,000 budget. What we do is we give away 500 Nokia phone with our SIM card and with an app for a group of people. This group actually is ex-offender that they actually could be in the prison for 20 years, 30 years, and they come back to society. So what we did was create this whole plan, give them a handphone, give them a SIM card, and with an app that's running on it, they can actually get back to the society, get a decent job, get some assistance if they need it, maybe to help their family as well. So we actually took the program further until this year, and the program is still running today. And we continue to fund it as far, as much as we can. If we can get more fund, we will run it as long as we could. So that's one program we took last year. And this year, in fact, we actually going to another program. I don't know whether you can see my I'm wearing right now is a tracker. We call UMI Track. Actually, we will launch it very soon. I think sometime in August we announce it. We actually will launch it with a group of dementia patients. So the idea is very simple. Today, you look at we call it the dementia client in a way. They are actually, most of them are stuck at home. So what we want to do is to give them the device, give them a device that they actually can start to go out. For a reason, they actually forget about coming back home. The caregiver actually can locate them and go and pick them back home again. So this is another program we're actually embarking this year. So if some of the guys that have actually visited me in Tai Seng area, this actually not exactly the staircase, but it actually looks similar. In my building behind, there's a staircase actually look like that, but actually it's not concrete in a way. I actually look through. So if you look at this slide, I always take the viewpoint is everything is one step at a time. Whether it's 0-1 where we started at a time. Myself is one person. Today we have 30 people. We started with 0 subscriber. Today we have 70,000 subscribers that are actually using our service right now. Together with Brands for Good, I started as a sponsor, second tier. Didn't know what to do. Then last year we went to a program with the ex-offender. This year we are working with the Alzheimer. So my point is everything starts with a small step with a view that eventually we can do more. Okay. This slide, purpose, I think all businesses do have a purpose. I think for 0-1, we do have a purpose as well. And we, from a business point, we are responsible as well. So if you look at from a social point of view, this is something I'm learning. So with this, 0-1 today have 2 things. So we have a purpose for business. We have a purpose in the social space as well. And this is my business. Yeah. So the slide actually show a little robot. And in fact, it's just to give you some idea. We're actually working on another program next year. Actually, that this little product robot that it was built about 8 years ago with my previous startup in the US. We actually did a prototype. We did a demo with AT&T. The AT&T CEO loved it so much, I think, but we didn't roll it out for some specific technical challenge. So I'm actually revisiting this again. Maybe next year, 0-1 could be able to pull out this product. And one particular segment we are looking at is senior citizen within Singapore, even within ASEAN as well. I mean, today we know that a lot of senior citizens are alone at home, and if we could do a product like this, it can create a lot of application, and eventually we can help this group of people from a business point of view and from a social point of view as well. Yeah. So, okay, that was my last slide. So, what I'm trying to reach out to everyone is how I started 2 years ago with Brands for Goods. I think I came with no expectation, but I thought that it was a good deal. So I took the small step by being a sponsor. But eventually, after 2 years, we are doing a bit more. We do the prison, it's just a phone bundle. We do a watch, a bit more that we are involved because we create the whole MBIoT platform. Possibly next year we'll do the robot. It's basically getting a bit more integrated within 01. So I like to take this opportunity to reach out to everyone. Just take a small little step and join this big family. I think you will never look back. Okay, thanks. Pass back to Kok-Chin.
Actually, I just want to add one more point to what Stuart is sharing. You know, sometimes we can be, we probably you're already doing good, right? In your own ways and whatnot. But I think joining a community gives you a sense of recognition of what you've been doing. So it's the same thing with like why Ariba is there, and why we do Brands for Good per se, right? Because we are then recognizing the good works and good deeds that people are already doing in it. And at the end of the day, you know, it's an image that you want to build for your company. At the same time, you can just say I'm responsible, but what's the metrics, right? To sort of measure that particular effort that you are doing. So I think tying yourself, being part of a community like Brands for Good, like Ariba, does help you with your image that you're wanting to portray as a responsible business. So that's just my 2 cents that I wanted to echo what Stuart is doing.
Yeah, thanks, Esther. I mean, the other thing I wanted to share is we started this about 3 years ago. In fact, 2 years when we launched the services in the market. As a startup, as a technology startup, there's a lot of challenges, frankly. I mean, we have no power, we got limited resources, and we're fighting the big giants out in Singapore. But I think if there's an opportunity like little program that we are engaged, I think within the means that you can take the first step. I always say take the first step. If we can do that much, this little much, I think just take it, and eventually you can contribute more by all means as you evolve together with your business as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent. In a way, you have both, in a way, have started the Q&A. Yeah? But let me set the context a little bit more, and I have to applaud Stuart's boldness in moving into what I would call a purpose-driven company, right? And he has done it from the onset when he launched his company 01. And when I heard that his backbone is really Singtel, and he offers a unlimited X amount of dollars per month, you know, and not many people have heard of it. But I am quite confident that with his kind of model and the fact that he is very purpose driven in terms of his mission for the company, it will actually move far, and that's my view. And I'm showing this slide because I'm following on to my last slide when I say the Singapore government launched Smart Nation in 2014, but it was actually parked under IDA at that time. It is not until 2017, 3 years later, almost 3 years later, that, and now we know it's the Smart Nation Digital Government Group comprising GovTech and the Digital Government Office. Why is that so? Well, I have to say, and of course, is in hindsight, right? When IBM did the recommendation report, we had recommended for a new group to be formed within the government, but they felt that it was really not necessary, and at that time, the IDA can run the show, but all the other ministries would do their own show, right? They have a KPI to meet. So I think the message that I'm sending to you all is that if you really want to do good, it must come from the top, right? And Smart Nation today, and not many people realize that it is not only the government providing their GovTech, the safe entry, the trace together, things like that. No. One of the 7 recommendations within the report of the Committee for the Future Economy is the Industry Transformation Map, right, 2017. So I want to use the word SPICE, S-P-I-C-E, as a way for all of us in this particular event here to remember that the Committee of the Future Economy is a roadmap for the next 20 to 30 years. And, you know, the government had articulated some, and they led the industry to drive the industry transformation map. but not many people really get onto it. Why? Because the communication, in my view, can be improved. So we are now working with NUS to do industry transformation map for 3 areas. One is with the manufacturing. I'm working with the Singapore Manufacturing Federation to craft out a roadmap for manufacturing. I'm working with the Institute, the International Facility Management Association, Singapore chapter. They're doing paperless project management project with NUS. So the digital economy is important, but as Esther said, what is important is that you must go digital, right? Go digital, go global are the 2 enablers, but it must come back to individuals. So the SP, the first 2 letters of the word SPICE talks about individual. You must have skills. What kind of skills? Well, go digital. And what kind of P is partnership. So you must first develop your skills to go global. And this is where the Singapore government, when we launched the, when we were chair for ASEAN, we had this, one of the initiatives as part of our chairmanship was the ASEAN Smart Cities Network, 26 cities. And because I had been involved in as part of the ecosystem for smart cities, and I get invited to speak, and sometimes on behalf of the Singapore government about what we do for smart cities. So, and together with Singapore Business Federation, when they have an event related to smart cities, I would generally co-organize it with them. So what does the ASEAN Smart Cities Network do? So let me let you know that it is to facilitate cooperation, partnership. So the P, in terms of the recommendation from the digital economy, is you must partner with one another, and that's why I cannot agree, further than what Esther has already said. You must be part of a community. So while you have the emerging stronger community, I chair the Smart Cities Network, and among the people in here are some of my members. We collaborate, and the key thing in my view for smart cities and for Singapore companies is to find what can we do to find and identify bankable projects. Bankable means that it is a project that facilitates partnership to do good, and yet at the same time, there's an initial investment for the private sector to do that. And that's exactly what Stuart has done. And then we will seek partners from external organizations and countries. So right now, before I conclude with a call for action, it's a Q&A session for about 15-20 minutes. It's now 3:10, 3:12. So I would like to invite anyone to ask questions. And really, I need not emphasize any further than what Vincent has mentioned. If you want to ask a question, maybe you can raise your hand and unmute yourself, show your video, and proceed to ask a question. So go ahead. We do it for 15 minutes, and then I will conclude the last 5 minutes before we have a what we call a breakout session. Officially, the webinar will terminate by 3:30, but we will have, as part of the Emerging Stronger series, we have breakout session for people to get to know one another. And for that segment, I will ask Vincent to share details. But right now, we have 15 minutes. I will want to invite a few people who may have questions, whether for Thomas or Esther or Stuart. Yes, go ahead.
Stuart, thank you for what you shared. I just wanted to ask you if there were 1 or 2 things that enabled you to form 01. What would that be? What would you say would be maybe your top 2 enablers?
Is that for Stuart, right?
Oh, yeah, Stuart, yeah.
Yes, Stuart, unmute yourself and respond, please. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. You asked me if I understand correctly. So, I mean, if I look at 01 today, I'm done this for about 20 years. Technology is something that I'm comfortable. So when when I started this journey 3 years ago, there was an opportunity given. So, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, the person that wanted to put some money, it didn't happen, but we never look back. So if we look at 01 today, I think we came in with a very strong purpose. We want to disrupt the mobile world. I think you look back in Singapore 20 years or over 30 years, this market is pretty much stagnant. And to be fair, I think we are paying quite obscene money for telco services within Singapore. But I think we are changing. 3 years ago, the government opened up, so we came in. So being the smallest, least funded, least resources, we take the challenge. I think we take the challenge and try to do something different and make a change. So I think that's one challenge I have. The other one, obviously, as a startup, you need to have a team of people. I mean, that's another challenge I have today. You got to convince people to join you. I mean, that's the other challenge for any startup, because people is business for me. You know, if I can't get business, I don't have money, I got ideas, but just not good enough. So I think that is the two things that, if you ask me, is very critical: people and the opportunity.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you so much for the question, and Stuart for answering that. Is there anyone else who would like to ask any question?
If not, I actually have a question following from my presentation, and perhaps Kok Chin can be someone that may be able to point some of the SMEs, if they want to start looking at going digital. Sometimes the question is asked, where do I start, right? And how do I do it? So if, let's say, in terms of they want to go paperless, or they want to look at revamping their business models, what are some of the help that they can get and opportunities to do that within Singapore, per se?
Well, that's a good segue to me continuing this particular, overview of the report. Right, I talk about industry transformation as the central theme. We must transform the industry by first making sure that the individuals, you develop the skills and you develop a partnership. On the right side, C and E is the enterprise. Enterprise must also get on board. So there are many trainings that are provided for people to learn and go digital. And the Singapore government has formed the digital office, and they start with the SMEs, the hawker centers, as you may have heard, 1,000 ambassadors to go digital. So the enterprise must first come on board, and they must send their employees to training. And what I have done together with NUS, I invited the two segments. Right now is early stage, their capstone project over 3 months. So EM services, it's not small. They are going paperless project management. So they're going, and what I have done is that because the capstone project is without charge to the company, so I get them to actually create the app for EM services. So it is provided for free to the companies, right? And so what I would suggest is that for enterprise, they got to figure out how they can tap on the government's funding. There are stimulus packages on training, and they got so many different programs. I tell you, sometimes people get lost because they do not know where to start, right? And that will be my input. I'm not sure whether there's anybody, maybe Glenn, you are the CEO for CEO Asia, right? So maybe you share what is your experience and your response to how would you get SMEs to start to go digital?
Wow, digital. I think digital is quite not difficult. I don't think so. I mean, now with software as a service, there are many tools available for businesses to sort of expand. When we first started out CEO Asia ourselves, we don't even have much of a budget. I mean, yes, we had sort of Maybank as a sponsor, but Maybank's still here. Yeah. It wasn't that much, right? It wasn't like going to pay all our salaries and all that. It was just the campaign fees that was going to cover. So we still needed to invest in our own database management and our marketing tools, and we started using online services. Esther mentioned that there's a lot of funding now, and I think that's sort of brilliant. productivity solutions grant, $30,000 per company to use every year. So I think that's a sort of a great start. You can probably go and find. We are sort of helping a partner promote an e-commerce grant now. That's $10,000 web development work, 80% funded. And if you're in the retail business, there's a digital resilient bonus, $2,500, and that's you come out net positive from funding. So I think in Singapore there has been a lot of support. I assume around ASEAN as well. There are many, and if you can tap on those tools, if you can't, then start small. Use services, software as a service and there are a lot of free ones as well. I mean, if you all need sort of a sense of what kind of tools to use, you can always sort of PM me. Happy to sort of share. My first accounting software was Wave, which was free, but I now moved on to Xero, which is paid. Digital marketing, we started with MailChimp, which was free, but now we moved on to ActiveCampaign, which is now costing me $2,000-$3,000 a year to use. So different tools I think are available. You just have to sort of assess your needs and what you can do.
But I had to also add to say that the enterprise should not think that they are alone, right? And I would really encourage the community that they should join a community. So that is the C, right? SPICE. So the C is the community, right? And that's how the 5 recommendation is skills, partnership, industry transformation, community of business, community of cities, and E is the enterprise. So then the 2 enablers, go global, go digital, and this in a nutshell is really the 7 recommendation of the future economy. So this is how I would encourage companies and individuals to really move on to go global. I would like to have one last question before I summarize with the last few slides in terms of call for action. Well, I've actually am willing to ask to partner with Glenn in this seminar with a caveat that it must be more than just a webinar, because I'm not interested in just moderating a session and then that's it, you clean your hands and that's it. We are interested in call for action, join a community, and then be part of an ecosystem to then hunt as a pack in overseas market. So Glenn, you hands up. Do you want to ask a question, is it?
No, good point about this community thing. I sort of want to share as well. There's power in communities, right? I mean, we are building up Areba together with Thomas. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you join ours, right, or join Cochin Smart City, depending on really your area of focus. But the power of the community then allows you to sort of have bargaining power as well, right? To go and seek resources and seek support. And that's the sort of the beauty of it. And I think, Cochin, you sort of hit the right note here. These partnerships for support and help is a great way to get things done together as a collective force.
Okay, so that also goes to, in a way, my last few slides. And let me share how I would like to encourage a call for action. The call for action is to enable and transform smart cities of tomorrow. And the call to action is that because I have actually confirmed, it will start from 1st August for 2.5 years, where we will have a collaboration with the Associo, which is actually a grouping of ICT companies, and in Singapore is represented by SG Tech. And I moderated this digital roundtable last month, right? And it was hosted by Associo and supported by my organization. And what we did is actually this network. So all of you are welcome to leverage off the Associo network, because we're going to sign an MOU with Associo, David Wong and myself, whereby we will actually run programs specific to sustainability. Specifically, I would say is United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. So in this particular roundtable, Shiho from the Smart Nation chapter, and also the other regional experts shared. David Hashim from Veritas, based in Malaysia, was the lead consortium partner for the new capital of Indonesia, multi-billion-dollar project. But of course, it is now shelved because of COVID-19. And of course, Pastor Jaji from West Java, Deepa from Thailand and Vietnam. So what I have I'm sharing with you now is a call for action to work with us, to collaborate with Associo to come up with programs that will align to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. And for this particular project, I'm working with Mr. Jackson, who is a founder for BOP Hub, Base of Pyramid Hub with NUS. We're building a global marketplace. And that global marketplace is essentially what I'm the technology guy for him, working, and we have a call later. So we are in the early stage of developing, at least for now, the technology infrastructure. But it will be global, where we will identify strategic partners for sustainability to align to the UN SDG goals. For example, for UN SDG number 7, I work closely with the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, ESCAP in short. And there are 3 cities that I'm working closely: Jakarta, Iskandar for Johor, and Kawayan City in the Philippines. And there are, let's say, number 6, Singapore is, is very famous for its water management and for sanitation. So I think the industry and worldwide, there is a potential to do a lot more for the world. And I wouldn't want to really sort of go away from here without having this call for action. And I'll be happy for you all to contact the organizer, Glenn, and the Brands for Good people to ask for the slides. We can ask the speakers to share their slides. So we have a last 5 minutes. Anyone else with any question? Before our 3:30, I will ask Vincent to sort of advise us how the breakout sessions will take place. And for those of you who have time to leave us at 3:30 may do so, because that will be the official end of this particular roundtable. One last question. We've got 3 minutes left.
Could I just come in now?
Yeah, go ahead.
First, I just want to apologize for the sound system. I'm outside. I thought now the sound is better, but it's raining heavily. So I'm sorry about the sound system, but I think my message is very clear. If I could just summarize in 2 sentences, is that there's a global trend. The trend that business must make money, but you also must make more than money. You must make money in a way that contributes to the well-being of society, which is to reinforce the message of Esther as well, that you can't do it alone. You have to do it in a group, and the community is the best effective thing. So our effort for Areba, working with Friends for Good and others, is to reinforce and make the journey together. So smart cities and others, we are all trying to make the world a better place. But there's a famous Malay saying, say, sedikit sedikit lama-lama jadi bukit. Little by little, eventually we'll have a hill. We need that first journey, like Stuart said, the first step. So I think we are just saying there's a lot to be done, but let us all work, and our first steps, individual first steps, will accumulate to a great journey. And apologies again. And I think next week we'll have another session, and I hope I will be at home and the sound system will work well. Thank you very much.
That's a nice conclusion, and I will add with another saying that says the journey of 1,000 miles begins with 1 step. So I think that's nicely done. And with that, thank you for some of you who mentioned that you got to excuse yourself. I will hand this session back to Vincent. Please advise what do we do. I will be around still for the next half an hour. I will go around the different breakout rooms if there's any other question. Go ahead, Vincent.
Okay, thank you very much, Kok Chin. We really want to appreciate you. I want to appreciate Thomas, Esther, and also Stuart for sharing so much, knowledge and wisdom with us today. Thank you very much for enlightening us. Okay, it's most appreciated. Okay, before we actually go into our other events, I just want to quickly maybe invite Glenn. Okay, Glenn, if you could just quickly share something with us
So sort of
regarding.
thank you, Vincent, and thank you for the time here. I sort of in line with today's topic about business opportunities. I wanted to highlight an article I saw today, and I quickly sort of put this together. I wanted to sort of remind everyone to start investing in your mega trends, right? And these things are things that you cannot change, right? That things that are happening, in technology, in sustainability, in healthcare. Sustainability. I typed twice. Food security. Are areas where are big opportunities. And not to forget, there's one really overarching megatrend, which is the rise of Asia and the Pacific. PwC noted that 66% of the global middle class are going to be here. So these are opportunities for businesses, and I guess we all sort of could see it coming. I'm going to do a plug-in now for Ariba, right? And to ride on this ASEAN trend and to ride on this sustainability trend. And for those of you who sort of don't know what to do and how to do, I mean, you heard Stuart's story. We don't know either. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm the expert at it. I'm also learning, right? And hence why I work with Thomas and understand and appreciate his code of conduct. Together with Thomas and ASEAN CSR Network, we have the sort of are trying to move our Brands for Good webinars into two parts. We'll still do these public ones, but it's going to be stringed down to once a month, only because we have started working closer now with the Ariba team, and we've got a community going. And Thomas has sort of created this platform for Responsible and Inclusive Business Alliance. The membership is only $200 a year. It's really an inclusive membership, right? So we're hoping to gather everybody together. So next week will be our first, sorry, the date is wrong. It's not 23rd of June, it's 4th of August. My apologies for not updating the date. On the 4th of August will be our first ASEAN Stronger Together webinar. We've got our Emerge Stronger series, which is essentially a Brands for Good initiative to strengthen individual businesses. If you've benefited from that, and I think you have seen that we put in quite a bit of value to that, our ASEAN Stronger Together one is going to really have a focus on building businesses and bridges across the whole of ASEAN. We've got the privilege of having Ambassador Ong Keng Yong joining us. He was the 11th SecGen for ASEAN itself to sort of open up our inaugural AST webinar, which is on the 4th. And this is going to be a private event. And we're going to stress this. We haven't really sort of opened up our membership and asked people to sort of join, because we are really in the background making a lot of wheels to turn and cogs to run. And that's happening right now. If you're keen, you can still PM me, and I can send you the link to sort of join now. It's really a small group of us now, 35 members only. But as a community, we are building, we need, they say, you want to run fast, run alone, right? If you want to go far, run together. So I'm trying to go far, and I'm trying to build up this community together with all of you to join. So I encourage you to sort of join our WhatsApp group, because I will sort of announce the membership details there soon. And if you can join us, you also get the privilege of being part of the launch next week with Ambassador Ong, and he will be covering a topic on ASEAN, business, and COVID-19, the ABC of response in the time of our age. So it's a really great opportunity to learn, to hear from the insights of Ambassador Ong, and we will also be having this kind of level of stellar speakers over the next few months on a month-to-month basis as well. So between ASEAN CSR Network, Ariba, we'll have one on the first week of the month, and then Brands for Good will be the public one, will be on the third week of the month. So this is how we're going to do it every week. The private one on the first week, and then the public one on the third week. So for those of you who are keen, do talk to me about joining the the membership. I think it's a great platform for businesses to grow together and then to find new resources. But of course, if you're smaller and you want to do some sort of internal development, the public one is also still available and we'll still run both simultaneously, right? So thanks, Vincent, for the time and
no problem.
for the sharing. Yeah,
no problem. I will really encourage everyone to take advantage of this and to be part of a community that is working together for common good with common values. Because I think this is very strong. Because as we know, okay, COVID has given a lot of problems to businesses and governments and organizations all over the world. Okay, so I think it's more important now that we collaborate, okay, at a deeper level, and also connect with trusted companies so that we can grow stronger together.
Sorry, Vincent, can I just add on to what Glenn shared earlier? Maybe I just want to raise 2 points. So Ariba, being part of the ASEAN family, maybe also like to share with you that we are also connected with ABAC, the ASEAN Business Advisory Council. All right, and we will have a representative from ABAC will be joining us on the 4th of August as well. Right, so I think why we make it a little bit more exclusive in Ariba is, we're going to start really, going after business opportunities, right? Then so it can't be too big a group like we do in this Emerge Stronger, and Ariba will then become a community where we hope that it has stronger bonding and more concrete business opportunity that we can all pursue together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Alan. Okay, so join us. Okay, but before we actually, the next step is to actually go into the breakout rooms. So we have smaller rooms that we can actually send people to, so we can network. But before we do that, we actually have a poll. We have a poll that we would like you'll just take a couple of minutes, but this poll will give us an indication of some of the preferences that you might have. So if I can get Shak to actually put the poll online.
Vincent, actually, maybe we'll do it next time because there's some technical issue right now with the poll. Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so we will take a poll not to do this poll, and we'll do it the next time. Okay, so I would just want to say before we go into the breakout rooms, I just want to thank, Kok Chin again. I want to thank Esther, Thomas, and Stuart for sharing with us today. This has been very, very much appreciated. You could have been anywhere, but you are here, and we really appreciate you. Okay, so I will get Shak to organize the breakout rooms. So we'll go into the breakout rooms, network with each other, find out more. The speakers, the moderators, they will be there as well. So if there's any questions, you can ask on a more intimate setting. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Okay, so we'll see you in the breakout rooms.
Hi, Esther. Are you able to select the room? Hello? Hi, Esther. I think you're muted.
Sorry, I was meant to leave
hello?
because I need to leave.
Okay, sure, no worries.
But I can't find my cursor now, so I think I'll just leave the meeting lah.
Can. Have a great day. Thanks a lot for everything.
Bye.
Bye.